Hey everybody, this is Andy's free guitar chart videos for Saturday morning. How's everybody doing? My YouTube subscribers and my Facebook group friends, and anyone who's found this video. If you like what you see, hit the like button, subscribe, share, and follow the instructions below to access the Facebook group page, Andy's free guitar chart videos. We're going to review a little bit to get me back up to speed, to get us back up to speed. We got 3 charts to look at. Okay, so we're gonna raise the curtain here. 358, 359, and 360. True long pattern pentatonics. Remember pentatonics. Root 2, 3, 5, 6. Yes, I have to wake up a little bit today, and I've been working on the chart 360, but you know, this is the other topics that I was working on until I saw a video online that the gentleman was playing chords and stuff, and that got me going on chords again. So S2Ls, S3Ss, and the root 2-3 walkovers, which is the root 2 and also the root 2 of the S3S. And it's important to know that we look at an S3S over here. It's a stack of 3 short S3S, 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2. The string shape assignments written on the virtual accidentals are D, A, and E. Okay, and in the stack of 2 long S2L, we've got 3, 5, 6 root. These are pentatonic intervals. Stack these two on top of one another, and we get a 5-string pattern, which is usually, that would be an S4C, S5C, but when we get to that 5th string, the root would be over here, the root 2 would be over, and it starts to look like our familiar C build when you're doing the C open cage right there. Now I can adjust that to make it look like it's lined up like that. And what we'd play then at that time, starting on the E, which is the 3rd of C in the key of C. I'm down tuned, C tuned. Here's down D tuned. Here's regular E tuned. It would be 3, 5, 6 root for the bottom square of that pentatonic scale, and then 2, 5. I was 2, 3, 5, 6, and then we'd have to bring over the root 2 for the tuning 3rd to go from G to C, which is a 4th. Okay, so it'd be root 2, and then on top of that we would start another S2C, S1C there, 3, 5. As you know, the top and bottom strings are the same. Good morning. Okay, so that's pentatonic scale using the S3Ss and the S2Ls. And I also mentioned that we'll put this back to P4 tuning, because depending on where we start this thing on any one of these 5 things, you could spell cage C, A, G, E, D. That 4th string will come somewhere on the pattern build. So we look at the pattern build. So here it is. If we wanted to start on D, the 4th string would be the C string, and then we'd have to warp this stuff over, right? Then we'd move that stuff over about a fret there, like that, and okay, had a little edit there. So we'd end up with, we edited the pattern too. So we'd end up with the tuning 3rd here, so this perfect 4th had to be moved over. We'd end up with a D box there. D on top, D on the bottom, D string shape. And we could play our pentatonic. Here's our S3S, 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2. Here's the S2L on top of it, 3, 5, but then warped over. We call it warped over. It's raised a half of, you know, because you put the whole pattern through the warp, you know. 6 root there. And then we left justify the S3L S on top here. Okay, so we have that pattern ready to go. Now I hope that's right. I know it's right just by looking at it. So what we have here is right here, this G. You can tell because if you were starting a G pattern down here, where your A minor might be here, you know you go long and short. So there's your G going long and short then, so that you know it's a little check. Everything checks in the cage systems and guitar. Everything you can check it. Always by starting a new cage on that particular string. And we're going to apply that today to make chords from any string. Okay, so we'll get to that next chart. Alright, so here we got our S3S 2, 3, 5, 6 root 2, and then we have 3, 5, and then 6 root 2, 3. Sorry. Whoa, I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing here. But I mean, I'm just getting started here. And I have an opportunity to make the lesson, and yeah, I don't always feel like, you know, playing guitar, right? But I know that we'll get into it. We'll get, you know, make some mistakes, but we'll get into it. Okay, so let's clear the board. Let's clear the board here. One good way to clear the board, instead of, you know, I like to go backwards so you can see what we did to rebuild the P4 tuning pattern, the P4 pattern. So as you can see, depending on which string you start on is where it depends on where the 4th and the 5th string will be. Okay, so that's all I was showing you there, and that took a little while. So let's get out of the drawing tool. Hello. So we can zoom out. Now we've had a lesson on this chart already. Okay, and what I want to show you is the importance of these patterns in pentatonics. For instance, the S3S is just a little brick here. The S2L, it's the long brick. Even in diatonics, it's the long brick, okay? And you just build these bricks on top of each other, one after another. S2C right here is our S2L. S3D is your S3S right here. Build another one on it, and you have to know shape fitting how it goes, because the pattern migrates. The short patterns migrate or drift to the left towards the fret nut, so there's a problem there. So we invented the long patterns. The long patterns have drift to the right, and the reason why they have it is because we go root 2, 3 whole steps. Okay, we've got a little sound here. So it's important to look at the diatonic and the pentatonic patterns. Now in the next chart, I happen to have a tripentatonic long pattern here. This is the caged wall. I just put it here for fun. Not sure if we're going to use it, but it's just a massive P4 pattern. So you pretty much got it all on this. You got everything you need in P4. And yes, this thing has to be warped over wherever it has to be warped over. Wherever you draw out a fretboard on this pattern, it's going to be 6 strings. So let's go look at 7 to 7. Oh, look, we even have the Locrian color. So there's our 7 to 7 there. And then what we would have to do if we wanted to make it look like a fretboard, okay, first of all, we want to get rid of what we're not looking at. So we're not looking at this. We're not looking at this. Okay. And then we would have to bring these two guys over. So we got to cut them out and then bring them back. So I'm going to, I guess I'm going to go like this and kind of guesstimate. In earphone view, this is what I have to do, you know, and it's going to look something like this. It doesn't look too terrific here because we kind of cut the top off of here, and then we'll bring this back over here, and then there is the fretboard itself there. Okay, the top didn't quite fully warp over. You don't want that to happen like in Star Trek, you know, like give you a real crow cut up there. So that would be the fretboard at that point. If we wanted the fret to cut up and make a fretboard here, okay, in that case, if there was a fret nut here, right down here, what would that be? What would we be looking at? What would low E be the seventh of? The key of F. So we would be looking at a fretboard in the key of F at that point, if we cut the wall like that. So that's how the wall works. We have everything. Okay? Now, we wanted to just look at the long pattern. So this is the long pattern here. And the reason why I made the long pattern and why guitarists use the long pattern is to play away from the fret nut. Right? So we're going to go away from the fret nut. See the arrow? There's our arrow. We go away from the fret nut there. Okay? So in pentatonics, we're not going to be playing the 7 of the 4. We're not going to be playing the 7 of the 4. Okay? So we're just going to have root 2. This is the top of an S3S. 3, 5, 6, root 2, 3. So here, right here is our S2L. 3, 5, 6 root. And then we go 2, 3, 5, 6 root 2. But at the tippy top of that, this S3CL, S3S, stack of 3 short there, we're going to put a long pattern there, the 4, 5, the root 2, 3 rather. Okay, so let's get the drawing tool so we can start circling this stuff out here. So down here, right here, we have our nice S2L. Okay, then we have S3S here. Also here we have S3XL. Okay, and in that X3XL we've got a little pentatonic pattern. 5, 6, here's another one up here, one that just repeats. I always repeat the pattern a couple of times so we get A to B to A to B to C to A to B, you know, so we get the transitions. Okay, and so here's our S3XL here. So that's an A shape right there. You know what an A shape is, right? You play an A right there and you go. That's the diatonic playing the 7 and the 4th, but just for the pentatonic it would be.